Here we are again, my brothers and sisters, ready to open the book of Revelation one more time. I want to welcome you to another study and thank you for being here. Today we find ourselves finishing Revelation chapter 13, and we've been on quite a ride just to try to comprehend and grasp what's happening just before the Lord himself returns. We see that the devil is busy creating a false trinity. There's the dragon, there's the first beast, and today we'll be introduced to the second beast. The goal is to copy God, to receive worship for himself, and to deceive as many as possible. It's an amazing time. God knows that his name will ultimately be glorified, but I just want you to check this out and try to grapple with what's going on. Here in verse 11, we're talking about another beast that came out of the earth. Remember, the first beast we saw earlier in the chapter came out of the sea. This one's rising out of the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb. Remember, horns represent power, like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. This is the description we're given of this second beast. What does it mean? Well, there will be presumably a person that will rise to power. The Bible elsewhere describes him as the Antichrist, and he is going to have special power. His power is going to be about deceiving the masses of those who reject God. Here we're described about what he does. It exercises, notice the pronoun it exercises all the authority of the first beast, Okay, the first beast was controlling the world financially and controlling the world religiously. All right, the first beast had great power. It had all authority of the first beast. This second beast is equally powerful in its presence, and it makes the earth and its inhabitants worship. It makes it. Now watch this. This is forced, okay? There's a forced command by this second beast that everybody on the planet needs to worship the first beast. That's the goal. That's Satan's goal all along, right? To receive the worship that he thinks he is due, to take the place of God. That's his goal. In the end, God allows Satan to have this moment before his own destruction. So we see that the second beast is calling for the world to worship the first beast, and it says whose mortal wound was healed. Remember, this first beast had a wound that had been miraculously recovered from. Does that mean this first beast rose from the dead? Well, Satan doesn't have the power to give life, but perhaps as a deception it appears that way. We'll see. In the end, the goal is worship, and that's what's happening. So, this second beast then performs great signs, all right? While it's commanding the world to worship the first beast, remember now, we talked about this, the first beast would be the second member of the counterfeit trinity. Who would that be relative to God's holy trinity? Well, that would be in the place of the Lord himself. The Lord was crucified, dead, buried, raised again. This beast that's being worshipped in second position in this counterfeit trinity, he's had some sort of wound and come back from it, much like copying what God has done, counterfeiting what God has done through Christ. And now we see that there are great signs being performed, making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. So we see power demonstrated. And these signs are marvelous in the sense that the people will know that something supernatural is happening. No magician can just make this happen. Fire comes down from heaven to earth. We're not talking lightning. We're talking fire. Well, how do you do that? Well, you're demonically empowered to do it. All right? The people are watching these things. The people are vulnerable in the sense that they've seen so much destruction already occur in the world. There's chaos everywhere. They are looking for a solution. They see this beast doing these mighty things, and their inclination is to go after that beast. Watch. And by the signs that it is allowed, notice the passive voice again, it is allowed to do these things. God is letting this happen. It is allowed to work in the presence of the beast. Here is the key. It deceives those who dwell on the earth. That's the point. Don't worship God. Don't receive his Christ. Don't yield your life to the truth. Look at the tricks I can do and follow me. That's the mantra of the beast. It deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them, watch, make an image. Make an image. You remember, even in the Old Testament, we have political figures making images and saying, worship the image. Right? If you don't fall down before the image, I'm going to kill you. Well, here at the very end, we see that same kind of pattern. Make an image for the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. All right, so the mortal wound that the beast has recovered from is now going to be memorialized through some sort of statue to help people remember. I just want to take you back to Matthew 24 for a second and remind you of what Jesus has said about these things. For false Christs and false prophets, notice that's plural when Jesus is talking about it. That means there's going to be a series of many false Christs and many false prophets before we get to this last one, this beast. False Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders. There it is. We're told in advance by Jesus that the power is going to be given so that great things can occur at the hands of these demonic people that serve the devil himself, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. The deception is going to be so intense, and the miracles or signs and wonders are going to be so powerful that the world is going to interpret that as evidence that this beast is God. All right? So that's going to be quite a sign and wonder, right? It's going to be overwhelming. Unless you're elect, unless you know Jesus Christ, you know the truth, you have read the book of Revelation, you are prepared to understand that the devil will be given this kind of power to deceive. In fact, let me take you to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 for a second and just remind you of this. Paul tells the church at Thessalonica the coming of the lawless one, that's the Antichrist, is by the activity of Satan. Remember, this is not just casual. It's not just an event that should be assumed to be normal. The devil himself has initiated, inaugurated, and been allowed to perform these deceptions. The lawless one's coming by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders. So when somebody says, well, we should believe so-and-so is real because look what they did, it causes us to have the need for great discernment. We are not going to just bow before somebody because they're able to do really special signs and wonders. We've been told. And with all wicked deception, notice this again, the deception employed is wicked, and it's for those who are perishing because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. God has offered salvation. God has been rejected in his offer of salvation. God allows the devil to do powerful false signs and wonders, and it's all about wickedness so that those who have refused God will be sucked into the deception and thereby, in their ultimate rejection of the Lord, be rejected forever. Therefore, God sends them a strong delusion. Notice in the next verse, we're told it's God sending this delusion so that they may believe what is false. Here's some good tricks the devil's doing. You want to follow him? You don't want to follow me, God says. Okay, here you go. Verse 12, in order that all may be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. This is the sequence we're watching play out in Revelation 13 in its ultimate form. The Antichrist is holding the world hostage through false signs and wonders, and the world, rather than yielding itself to God and following Christ, is yielding itself to follow the beast. As the passage moves forward, and it was allowed, again, notice the passive verbiage. It was allowed. It doesn't have the power to do this without permission. It was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast. So this second beast takes this first beast that has this mortal wound by the sword and revives him. It was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast. Notice it says the image of the beast. Perhaps this is some sort of a different kind of event, in the sense that maybe it's not in reality that the devil raises somebody. Maybe it's some sort of internet hologram, or maybe there's something else happening here. It's not really explained to us. But the image of the beast has been given breath. All right? The image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. This is so important to get. If we're on this planet, or whoever believes in Jesus and is on this planet at this moment, the worship of the beast is mandatory. The worship of the beast is punishable by death. If you refuse it, you're going to die. Even today, in modern technology, I think cameras, like for instance, China, I think they have something like 600 million cameras. When you're walking down the street in China, they can facially recognize you through their software. They already have a coding system where, if you jaywalk in China, they take your picture while you do it, and you lose social merit points, right? You can be punished. They have a no-fly list based on people that have dissented and done what the government doesn't want. There's already an ability to examine every person and control their behavior through these social scores. Well, when you get to the end of time, just before the Lord comes, this is going to ramp up into something just horrible. If you do not bow before the image of the beast, if you do not worship the beast, you will die. That's what we're being told here. Now, John's audience would relate to this. Why? Because they have been under a mandate from their government, the Roman government, to worship Caesar. And of course, those who believe in Jesus Christ refuse to worship Caesar. And in the day and age of the early church, thousands upon thousands of Christians were brutally murdered because they refused to worship the emperor. So as John writes this down, he's relating to what's happened. In fact, all of his cohorts in terms of following Jesus, they've all been martyred. He knows what this is about. But at the end, the same process happens again. Follow Jesus, refuse to worship the beast, die. That's explained a little bit. Also, it causes all. Notice how this is so inclusive. Both small and great, both rich and poor, both slave and free. That's everybody. To be marked on the right hand or the forehead. To be marked. That's like branded. All right? So don't worship the beast. You're going to be killed. And if you do worship the beast, you're going to be branded. All right? Here comes the branding. We are going to make sure you know that you are following the beast. You remember back in chapter 7, the sparing of judgment until the 144,000 were marked by the Lord to survive the judgment, to be excluded from the pain that was coming. Well, here we see in this evil copying, the people who worship the beast are all branded either on the right hand or the forehead. These would be the visible places on the body when you wore ancient clothing, or even some today. Even for the women that were almost totally covered, you'd still be able to see the forehead or the right hand. What are we told next? So that No one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. There you go. Political exclusion, economic exclusion. You can't buy. You can't sell. You are in a position where you have to go starve to death or grow your own food somehow if you can. But you are absolutely excluded and ostracized from normal society if you refuse this mark. What is this mark? Well, no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. Numerology is a big thing in the ancient world, assigning numbers to letters and coming up with different formulas for what something might mean. What we're told is there's going to be a mark on everybody who's following the beast, and it's either going to be his name or a number. All right, now we're told this. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. Okay, so God give us wisdom. What does this mean? For it is the number of man, and his number is 666. Now, we've been told many times about this number 666, and in prophetic literature, hundreds of books have been written about what this means. We can't go farther than this text will take us. What does it mean? It means that if you are worshiping the beast, you will be branded. 666 is man's number. Why is it man's number? Man's created on the sixth day. He's imperfect. God's perfect number is 7. The devil is branding people who follow the beast. And we'll see as we move forward into chapter 14, the punishment that comes for those who take this brand. The Christian's call, stay away from this mark. Refuse to worship the beast, even if it costs you your life. We'll take it from there next time, church. God bless you. Serve him well today.